question today.
Oh, it's happening.
I was gonna say this morning
Want
was
me
a
to
good
put
one
that
too.
up for now? Want me to put it up for now, and then
Yeah, because it's a good one.
I can always just release back to her.
That would be great. And then we can all kind of, oh, perfect, share whichever way.
There we go.
It just takes a second to.
What is your perfect pizza order? Write it in the chat. Share it with us, especially because I may be hankering for some pizza this weekend. I saw this one last night and it inspired me for our S2 question today. And if you haven't had a chance, just mute your mic if you're not talking, just to help eliminate some of the background noise.
Those look so delicious. I would eat any of those.
I better open the chat because this is the juicy part I want to see.
Okay,
I got the content.
Nicole, I'm back. So can you just stop for 2 seconds?
Yep.
And I'll see if I can do it. Thanks.
Meat lovers, good choice. Feta cheese, sauce, and bacon.
I don't know what this means.
I don't know if anyone out there is a big fan of Jesse's,
Computer.
but they have like a pulled pork pizza and it's pretty amazing.
The more bacon in my butter, I agree. That sounds delicious. Ooh, pulled pork pizza. I haven't actually tried that.
I see a lot of people coming in. If you haven't yet
amazing.
muted your mic, if you could please do that, that would be awesome.
All right, Jen, no luck.
No, it's telling me that it is sharing it, but it's lies and trickery. Okay, so let me just try one more thing.
Oh, pierogi pizza is delicious. I like that at Boston Pizza too, Gwendolyn. This is for
where did my chat go?
SeeSaw session
Yes.
3. Yes, for frequent users.
But we are currently talking about pizza toppings.
It's working. Way to go, Jen.
Oh, yay. Yep.
Okay, so it had something to do with the cable because now I'm using AirPlay, so best of luck to you.
Oh,
Oh, she's,
Uh-oh.
she's gone to the dark side of AirPlay. Look out.
Oh boy. Okay.
If you're just joining us, we're just sharing your perfect pizza order because clearly that's what's important right now. Dill pickle pizza from Jesse's. Haven't tried it, but I've heard lots of good things about it.
I'm a dill pickle fan.
Jen, wouldn't that be your dream come true, dill pickle pizza?
Nope, it wouldn't. Dill pickle pizza with olives on it is literally like my worst nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah, olives, they scare me. Not a fan.
I
They're a
like
cheese
olives.
ruiner.
No.
Dill pickle is the best. We got another dill pickler. Another one. Oh man. Meat lovers. Last week we made a pizza on the barbecue and the dough rose like so high. It was amazing. Jalapeno popper pizza? Oh man. Awesome. Okay, what time are we at? We're 2:03. So we will archive all these amazing pizza ideas so we can share them for another time, and we will get rolling. So we are at part C of frequent SeeSaw use. If you're just joining us,
I can't
today
move this slide.
Oh, maybe we're just going to talk about pizza toppings today. That's what's going to happen.
I'm gonna try. Okay, let me just see if we can even work around it. No. Okay. Oh.
Do you have another cable, Jen?
No, I'm on AirPlay too, and then. Okay, let me see if I can just do it here. Let's see if we can just roll this way.
Yeah, I see the slides.
Well, me too.
Great.
But it's going to be a problem when we get to live demo, but we'll do the best we can.
Okay.
Okay. Are we good? We're moving on from pizza?
We're going to try.
Okay. Today we will start with a few questions from yesterday, then talk about feedback and the send back options for teachers. Also, we will live demo how, not we, as in like this is Jen and Shantima. We will share how to share activities with school community library and how to organize your activities into collections. I'm just going to add a little note, if possible, hold off on chat questions as Jen and Shantima are presenting, because a lot of what they're going to say, you may have some of your questions answered. And then at the end of each kind of section, we will allow some time for questions specific to what was covered, if that is possible. Okay, so we'll roll on to the land acknowledgement. Can we put up that slide? Oh, yay! Oh, Nicole showed up today. Yay. Oh, we have no sound, Jen.
No audio. Maybe we'll just say it.
We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. Not as lovely as Gretchen's voice.
Okay, and our hosts for today all week long, myself, Nicole Hooper, the Learning Commons coach, and Jen and Shantima, who are the ones showing all this great content for the week. Nicole and I will do our best to man the chat throughout as well, while they do some live demos, and then we will leave lots of time for questions at the end as well, like I already mentioned.
Okay, we'll just go over our 6 remote learning guidelines, and that is make sure that what we're planning is asynchronous and that we consider pace, prioritize, we make sure parents know when we are available, that they are intentional and familiar to the parents and students at first as well.
Awesome, so this is just a snapshot of the other sessions that happened this week. You are currently in the frequent SeeSaw use part C, but lots of other things to check out this week if you're looking for more information.
Okay, and if you wanted to, there's lots of things that you can do within the Google Suite platform as well, and that can be used interchangeably with SeeSaw. So being a frequent user, if that was something you'd like to explore, all of these sessions have been archived as well, and they are great resources too, filled with lots of content.
Okay, so Jen's going to address Google and SeeSaw that arrived yesterday.
Yes.
Okay.
There's been a few questions, and Shantima and I have gotten a few questions in chat and text and email, just about, you know, I'm using this in Google and I'd like to put it over to SeeSaw. It's not the same. It doesn't look the same. Yes. Basically, that's the answer to that. It's not going to be the same. So the main one is, you know, sharing links. So I've created a Google Doc and then I've shared that link over to SeeSaw, and now I want my kids to use it. But what happens is SeeSaw will create a PDF for that link. And then that might not be what you want. So you kind of have to think to yourself, well, if I just made a Google Doc and it's just questions, does it really matter that it's in a Google Doc? Probably not. So if you're just after the content, just make it in SeeSaw. If it's an actual clickable links or something, like you've made a slide with, you know, links and stuff, then you would share it as a link, but then you'd still have to add some sort of template for your kids to do it. So there's all these different kind of hacks that you can do, but you have to ask yourself, is it worth my time and effort to do that? So if you can just create the content, the activity in SeeSaw, we suggest you just create it in SeeSaw. That's kind of the bottom line there. Google isn't SeeSaw, SeeSaw isn't Google. Then there was some questions around home codes, because I did my kind of soapbox moment yesterday around home codes saying, you know, you have to be using them, not your class code. Well, that's, so my bad. Also, I'm in primary world. I do realize that some of the older students use the student email sign-in. If you do have older students and they're using the student email sign-in, then they do not need home codes, because the email sign-in is already that private student journal. So most of us in primary, at least K to 3, are using that class QR code. So that's why we have to use home codes. But if you do have an email login, then you're good to go. So hopefully that clears up a few things before we get started. Yes?
I think so.
Okay. So now I'm going to throw it over to Shantima, and she's going to talk about feedback.
Thanks. So we want to start with feedback because feedback now with remote learning becomes more important than ever, right? This is your connection to the kids. This is your voice to the kids now. We're so used to having that one-to-one feedback conference with them. And now all we have are comments and audio comments here. So I have found that this will consume most of your time, that feedback, because it needs to be reflective of what your students need. So if we look at this slide here, we have 4 responses to different activities, right? And in the first 3, we have comment feedback, like written feedback. Obviously, with these first 3 responses, we are confident that those students can read the comments, read the feedback, and fully understand what's being asked of them and what Jen here is saying to them. In the last and the 4th response there, this was feedback to an ELL student. So there, Jen determined that an audio comment would be better, right? So as long as your feedback is reflective of what your students need, I would go from there, just like the instructions like we talked about yesterday. So I'm not suggesting in any way that this is going to be quality effective feedback right now. I think that will come, but for now, this is about connection to kids. Also, we can't guarantee that parents are reviewing and going over that feedback that you're leaving to your kids, right? So your feedback needs to be reflective to their understanding, because before remote learning, the comments you would leave would go to that family app. Parents would see it in the student journal. And now we're living in a world where comments and feedback are teacher to student. So in the back of my mind, when I'm leaving feedback, I'm just thinking about what would I say to that student face to face. Also, for my own sanity, I find when I'm giving written feedback, I've been using dictation to text on my phone when leaving written comments, just to save time and my typing fingers. Also, I would, yes, provide feedback to all of the activities I'm creating, because otherwise, why is it really there? Why have you assigned that activity, right? If we think of number 5 in the remote learning guidelines, it's being intentional. So there should be a reason for everything you're sending home. And then the value of that activity can then be measured in the feedback that you're giving to them, right? So remember that I'm speaking about feedback to the activities. So in the student journals, you are going to get 15 pictures of their cats in the lawn. Am I giving feedback to all of those 15 photos? No. But to the activities that you're assigning, yes. The second thing I'd like to talk about, can you go to the next slide for me, Jen, is send back. So this is a new feature that I love with activities. And so this is what it looks like now. This is a response to an activity. So there's that task we have given our kids attached to our daily read alouds. This is what has come back to the teacher. So instead of just the approved button and the delete button, in between we see that send back feature. So underneath you can give a comment as feedback. So you can see we got feedback here, and if you actually read what the student wrote, we're asking who the main characters are, and basically this student thought it was like a graphic organizer for their own story and wrote their own story. So Jen gave feedback saying like, thanks for making up a great story. However, this is what I need you to actually do, right? And then she can hit the send back. What's important to remember here is you have to comment and leave that feedback before you hit send back. Otherwise it's gone. So as soon as you hit send back, can you go to the next one, Jen? As soon as you hit send back on the left-hand side, that is what the student sees, right? So it goes back to them as a draft and with another edit button. So now he's seeing this on the left. He sees her feedback comment on the bottom. He's realizing, oh no, I did it wrong. He can hit that edit button at the top. And then you can see on the right-hand side, that student corrected his work. He actually finished the task that was being asked of him. He can resubmit it. And then on the next one, Jen, this is what will come back to the teacher, right? So here's the corrected work. She can then either leave another comment. So she wrote underneath like, awesome job, buddy, or she can leave a comment and send it back. So it's up to the teacher now to send back again with a comment or approve it, right? We just wanted to show you what it would look like for the students when you hit that send back button. They have that ability to edit it and send it back to you. All right, I'm gonna stop here. I see some questions are coming up. So I'm just gonna stop before I send it on to Jen and see if I can field some questions.
We've, can you hear me? I don't know if I'm on mute right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We've got a question, and I believe we addressed it yesterday, but I feel like you're in a good screen to just kind of show, is there a way to select a folder it will go into? I wasn't able to figure that out.
Jen's going to cover organizing your activity library by subject and by school right after I'm done here.
Perfect. So it looks like a lot of our questions are around that.
Yeah.
Do they get a notification when it's been sent back?
Yes.
Right.
Well, they don't get
the student will.
They don't get like a live notification like a parent. No, it'll just be like everything else. Like they don't know when we send an activity either. So they have to like actually go back into their SeeSaw.
Mm-hmm. Remember, that's why we were like posting to Student Journal and saying, here it is, because they don't really get a notification through activities.
And another question.
Right,
oh, sorry. If we are using an old activity, can we put the send back on it?
It's just built in.
It's built in when the students respond to you. So I can't go to an old activity and resend it to a student. I haven't figured it out anyways.
Okay, and one, this is kind of from yesterday. Where does Jen get her daily read alouds? Well, Jen and Shantima create them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, using clips. Okay, I think we might be caught up on our questions.
Okay. So yeah, Jen's going to talk a little bit more now about organizing activities, organizing your community library, and that should answer a lot of the questions too.
And just before I move on to that, I just want to be clear about the person that asked the question, do I get to choose what folder it goes into? If you're referring to the fact that I have that yellow language, yes, I choose what folder that goes to when I'm building the activity. So that's different than what I'm going to talk about in a minute. I choose that, when I'm building the activity. Okay. I'm going to attempt to share to my iPad one more time because otherwise I have to live demo on my computer and that's not really my favorite thing in the world. So if we can all just come along this little journey with me, I would appreciate it.
If not, we can just talk about pizza again. It's fine. I see some questions popping up about moving activities into folders. I'm going to hang on to answering because I'm going to just let Jen kind of share all of her content around the folders and organizing. And then if there's anything left at the end, we can address it.
I can talk to Sherry while Jen's mirroring. It looks good, Jen.
Is this good?
Yeah, it looks good. Sherry, you can go to your old activities, hit those 3 buttons. Like Jen said, she had added that to her language and organized them later. Yes, that can happen.
Yeah, so if I go into, say this one right here, it's not attached to any folder right now. So if I go to my 3 dots, I want to edit the activity. It's down in that more options section, I think, isn't it? No, where is it?
No. I have to assign it first. When I hit assign, then you can kind of click on the right-hand side. That's where I find it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay,
right there.
Yeah, and then we go there, and then I can go to folders, and then that's where I can pick all of those. And if I need to add a folder because I don't have one, I just tap the add folder. So that's how you get it into those, right? Like that's how it's labeled, like language, parent, guardian, news, all that stuff. That's what those folders are. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so now what I'm going to talk about is the sharing community and how we can work smarter and not harder. When I go into assign an activity, this is where I am in my activity library. So right now I'm in my activity library. You can see that, right? It says my library. If I go to school and district over here, these are activities that people in Lambton Kent District School Board have shared, and people in at PE McGibbon have shared, because PE McGibbon is my school. So if you go to school and district, you will see, so, you know, if I teach at Kinwood, it's going to be LKDSB and activities from Kinwood. And
Jen,
then
can I stop you real quick?
Yep.
I just want to stop you because we fielded this question in S2 as well, and this was something that I had experience with. I was not yet added to the LKDSB SeeSaw. I had to email Pam Gallant and she had to add me in because I could not see that school and district tab. So if there's anyone out there who's looking for it right now and doesn't see it, it's because you haven't been linked with the LKDSB piece. So email and they will add you in, and then it'll just pop up and you'll be able to see it.
perfect. Okay.
Sorry.
No, thank you. That's good. I didn't know that either. So community, chances are if you're in this group, you are already using the community, right? So these are activities posted from anywhere and anyone, right? So let's say, I know we had our divisional meeting this week and it got brought up and it said, well, can I just create an activity and put it somewhere and share it with somebody so that, you know, my grade partner doesn't have to make the same activity? Yes. So that's what we're really thinking a benefit of this school and districts library can be. So you can share with your school. So like my school at PE McGibbon, we have 4 FDKs. If one person creates an activity that's great for all of them, super duper, post it to the school library. So how does one do that? So if I go into my library, and let's say I'm going to share my read aloud. I'm going to share this one. So I'm going to tap in it. Here's my activity. I tap on the 3 dots, and then it says share. Here's all my options. I can share to the SeeSaw library. I can share to school and districts. That's the one we want to choose. Okay, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to share. This is where I can choose whether it's, you know, I think it's probably relevant for everybody in these grades. So you can check mark whatever you think is relevant. And then I'm going to go back. You can check mark whatever subjects you think are relevant. I'll just leave it in English. And then you can tap on here and you can either choose for it to go to LKDSB or just your school. Some of us are going to have different comfort levels. I completely get that. So if you're only comfortable right now sharing with your school, just uncheck that box. And then when you go back, you tap share and it says it's been submitted. So I go, okay. And I just kind of go out of there. Now when I go back to school and district, there's my read aloud that is posted there. Now, if you remember, I only chose PE McGibbon. So you might be looking at this going, emergency, problem. I posted it to the school district and I don't want to. Well, that's because it says at the top, my schools and district. So up in the drop-down menu at the top, you can see 2nd grade, all subjects, my schools and district. So if I go to Lambton Kent District School Board and I check mark that, my read aloud is not there. Okay, if I go to PE McGibbon, there it is, because I only chose my school, if that makes sense to everybody.
Jen,
So,
can I stop you for a minute?
Yep.
So if our teachers decide after the fact that they want to change where they posted it to, which library or which, like to LKDSB, maybe they want to post it to LK later, how would they do that?
Okay, so same thing. So let's pretend I decide I don't even want it here anymore. Emergency, I changed my mind. I don't want it there anymore. I'm gonna tap on my activity. You go through the exact same process. You just tap share. I go to schools and district and I can check mark it again, or I could have removed it if I want. I can't do it now because I've already put it in there. Oh, there, see. Okay, so remove. So I can remove it, or I can change the setting. You just go back through the entire process. 3 dots, share, okay, if that makes sense. So now when I do go to my schools and district, these are my search options, right? I can search by grade, I can search by subject. So if I do go to P. McGibbon, I'm not really sure who this Tracy person is. She's not a person at our school, but her activities in our school for some reason. Anyway, so as you can see there, Shantima and I have already started to share just as an example. Now, something that you have to remember when you're doing this is you cannot share an activity that does not have instructions or a template attached to it. So back in my library, if I go down to some of mine, like let's say, I don't know, I have a See, Think, Wonder here. Let's say I have this one and I think, great, I'm going to share this turtle one. It won't work. I can't do it because I don't have any instructions. This was back in the day when I didn't really give instructions because it was in the classroom. So in order to share this to that community, I would have to build the instructions, but I would be doing that anyway because now we're in a remote learning world and that's a best practice, if that makes sense to people. So I'm going to pause here and answer questions.
I don't see too many right now. We just had one about sharing, but Shantima answered it.
Mhm.
Oh, we got
I
some.
have a
Here we
question for
go.
you, Jen.
Yep.
So if you are a co-teacher and you are posting and creating some materials for different grade levels, when you go to create your activity and you are indicating what grade levels it is for, because you know how you can do that, like select your grade level.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever grade level you are indicated as will still appear, right? Is that, so if I was a grade 1, my homeroom teacher is a grade 1 teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm the prep teacher, but I also have prep for grade 5, 6, and I'm creating things.
Mm-hmm.
It will still show up as a grade 1 activity as well, right?
It's only going to show up as whatever you pick on that list.
Okay.
So if you're a French teacher and you want to share an activity to anyone, you just pick whatever check mark you want. So if you want to share it to grade 1, you pick grade 1. If you want to share it to grade 6, you pick grade 6. And the reality is the teachers, once we get using this library, I think you can just hit all and then they're all going to be there anyway, right? Like if I hit all and all subjects, even down at the bottom, there's ways that you can figure out and organize.
Yeah, when I was going to create an activity before, like I'm in as a grade 1 teacher, but then I was creating, say, a Learning Commons activity. But since I'm in SeeSaw as a grade 1, and even though I selected grade 5, 6, 7, it still put grade 1, 5, 6, 7 when my activity was created. So it wasn't where I was like the grade that I was sharing it to. It was actually in the activity creation. And once it created it, it still put in there that it was grade 1 as well as 5, 6.
Oh, well, don't know.
Yeah.
I've got a question around, can you be in 2 schools? Do you know answer to that one?
I would say that's probably a Pam Gallant question because that would be however you're set up in the system.
Pretty sure Pam Gallant's on right now.
Hello,
There she is.
how are you? Yeah, you can be selected there. I think some people, when they are not connected to SeeSaw Schools, it's basically generated from a couple of different ways. One, you must use an LKDSB.net or .com email address. Some people have a .com address, but they have signed through Google, so it's just a little harder to find you because the pathway is just a little different. So there's that. And then if you signed in like 3 years ago and you're using LKDSB.net, which many people have done, which is totally okay, you may have signed your school, like just typed in the name of the school. So I'll give the example of like Queen E School. So in Lambton, Kent, we had 3 Queen Elizabeth schools. So QE2, Queen Elizabeth, Queen EP. So there's all these different variations. You have to use the variation that is that's put it forth in the administrator. So those could be some of the solutions for that. problems for that. So if you are having a sign-in issue, and you email me, I need to know your login name and what school you're connected with, and that will be fine. We'll find you. SeeSaw's been great. I've been like Inspector Clouseau. I'm finding everybody.
Okay, thanks, Pam. I got a question for Jen and Shantima. Will you be talking today about connecting skills to an activity?
No, that's a bigger question for another day.
Okay, save
but
that
I would
maybe for
say
next week.
Well, if you're interested in that, just go to the SeeSaw Help Center. It's really valuable, and probably all your answers would be there.
Yeah.
And the SeeSaw Help Center is probably how Jen and I figured out most things anyways, and trial and error.
Yeah.
And 30 more seconds. If you were a kindergarten teacher and you are looking for skills and your grade level is set as kindergarten, you will have access to the Ontario kindergarten expectations, because SeeSaw has put those in for us, but only kindergarten, and only if you've identified that your class is at the K level. So that's in there.
Awesome.
So you can use those to tag and everything. So yes, kindergarten teachers are like whooping it up. It's awesome. So we're looking at other things, but start there.
Okay, thanks, Pam. I've got one question about yesterday. You talked about deleting activities. Are you going to show how to do that today?
If you want to delete an activity?
Yeah, I think it's yesterday you talked about deleting activities after they had been posted for a while. How do you do that?
Okay, so I assume that means like on the feed. So in my activities, so these are the first 5 read alouds, right, of our week. So I'm going to leave them there till Monday. And then what Shantima and I are going to do is make a Google Drive folder and share the link so that all the kids will be able to have access to all the read alouds, but they're not going to be in the feed because we don't want a feed of like 50 read alouds. So I'm going to delete this on Sunday. And I just tap the 3 dots and tap delete. And that's deleting it from the feed.
Yes.
So that's deleting it from this feed here. So it's going to go away. I'm not going to do that right now because my kids need to answer it. But that will make it go away from the feed. But it still exists in my library. If I want to delete it from the library, because that happens a lot, you know, I go to the community sometimes and then I'll copy and edit an activity. And then I think, well, I don't really need that anymore. Plus we had to do this a lot before we had our paid version and we were only allowed to have 100 activities. So I'd be in there like deleting like 5 so we could do math that day.
Yeah.
If you want to delete it from here, you just tap the 3 dots and delete it from here. If you delete it from your actual activity library, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't get it back.
Awesome.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I have another question here about folders because you kind of talked about those. What I'm getting from this is, I think it's Tara Baker is asking, is there a way that when students go in, they can go to the folders right away to maybe select math? If they're looking to do math that day, they can access all the folders, or is that just for you to organize?
It's not Google. Okay. So that would be a feature like if you're used to Google, the kid would go in and pick, I'm going to pick the math folder. The folder is attached to the activity that you send. So you're the one that's controlling the folder.
And I find as a teacher, it's just an easy way to search, right? Can you show that, Jen, when you hit the folder beside class? Yep, so it says class journal. There's a folder picture. If she taps there, you can search your activities by folder. So it's not really for the kids, it's more for the teacher. Yes. It helps me with assessment, honestly, to go in and say like, oh, I needed that one math activity, I need to go find it. Right? And I think there was some confusion. So when Jen was talking about the activity feed and deleting an activity, she just means when you hit that activity button and all of the activities you see on the left, right? We didn't want to fill that up.
Yeah, we don't want this to be gigantic and overwhelming for families.
Yeah.
So I'm going to delete it from the feed, but not my actual library.
Yeah, so there's only like...
I might want it next year.
Yeah.
Right?
Are you going to be getting into Oh, sorry, go ahead, Shantima.
Sorry, it's important. I think the scary part for me when I was deleting the activity at first though was, am I going to lose the kids' work? So it doesn't delete from the student journal. It's still there. It's just getting it off of this activity feed, activity bank for the parents. So it's not like an overload. So that's clear.
We have like a ton of questions, but they're not coming in all around the same topic. So I did want to ask, are you going to be talking about editing activities?
Well, if you want to edit an activity, you just tap, everything is in the 3 dots. Basically, if you want to do anything to an activity, press the 3 dots.
Mm-hmm.
They're concerned that if you edit an original activity, does it create a new activity, or do you then edit the existing one?
So what you would want to do is, so every day, I don't make this every day. I copy and edit it every day. So for Monday, which will be read aloud 6, I'm going to go 3 dots, copy and edit. I'm going to go up there. I'm going to change this to emoji 6. And then I would X my video, and then I would attach the new video, and then I would press save, and then done. And when I go back to my activity library, there's number 6 there. It just doesn't look fancy because I didn't attach the video.
Can you go back and hit those 3 dots in your activity feed, Jen, for a minute? So
3 dots.
Yep. So notice that there are 2 edit activity buttons. There's edit the activity that's there, or copy and edit, right? So I think that was one of the questions in the chat here. If you want to edit that actual activity, hit edit activity. But yesterday when I was talking about creating a template, so you're not recreating every day, then you want the copy and edit.
Okay, and question here, can 2 teachers edit and add pages to the same activity?
Well, what you would do if you're a co-teacher, like imagine what you would do is you would have to copy and edit that original activity, right? So if I'm an FDK team and I'm the teacher and I made the activity, I've put it in the shared P.E. McGibbon activity library. Now I'm the ECE, maybe, or whatever. I would copy and edit it, and then I would have to do something different to it. If that makes sense. Copy and edit is kind of the way to get around not losing that original one. I know I did that a lot in the beginning because I was like, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to wreck it. So then I would just copy and edit and have it there and then go from there. Okay, so I'm going to move on so that we can get this done. And because the last thing I'm going to talk about is organizing. So just to be really clear, when I'm talking about organizing, I'm talking about something called a collection, not a folder. So I am not talking about those colored folders that Shantima said, you know, are for the teacher, right? I am not talking about these folders. I am talking about a collection of your activities. So when I go into activity library, down at the bottom, I've organized all of my activities into these categories, basically these collections. So if I want to see things that I use for guided reading responses, they're all there. Math, there's all my math activities. Okay. I have 5 activities not in a collection, so I'm going to put them in a collection as the demo. So I have a See Think here, right? It says organize. I tap on the organize, and then I want it to go into my See Think Wonder, and that's pretty much it. Okay. And then it's done. If I wanted to make, and then you kind of have to go in there like every time. So if you want, how do I make those? You can see at the bottom, it says create new collection for your activities. So if I want to make one, I'll just make one called Read Aloud, spelled right. Read Aloud 2, okay? And then I tap create. Read Aloud 2 is there. So then if I tap on there, right, nothing's there. but if I go in, there's different ways you can get them there. You can go to activities not in a collection, organize, and then I can choose for it to go into read aloud to. Did you also notice that there was a plus there? If you want to add a collection from there, you can add the collection from there. Also, maybe if I don't want that to be gray, I want it to be burgundy like the other one, 3 dots. I can edit where I can add a little description and I can change the color. There's not that many colors. That kind of bummed me out because in my, A-type teacher brains, I wanted it to be the exact same as the folders in the feed. That's not in the cards for me. So it is what it is. But anyway, I've changed it. And now read aloud is the same. In the activities, when you are in the actual activity, you can press those 3 dots as well, and you can see that the very first one is add to collection. I would highly, highly suggest that if you are starting to make activities, you do this now, because it was an arduous task for me to go back and put them all into a collection. And Shantima's nodding her head because she hasn't even done it because it's too much work. So if you're going to start doing this, please do it right off the hop. Also, you'll notice that they're just in alphabetical order, right? I can't move like math to the top or whatever, right? They just kind of are how they are. So it does organize it though for me as a teacher going forward. Like I think about, when I have next year, right? And I'm going into next year and I go, okay, I just want my See, Think, Wonders. Well, then I can just tap on that and I can see that they're there, right? So it is helpful. So that's how you kind of organize them. And I suggest doing it now. Yeah.
One
Jen,
quick question,
sorry,
Jen.
Sam.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Nicole.
No, I was just going to say that too. You were talking about your See, Think, Wonders, and we had a question. Where do you get your images for the See, Think, Wonder? Because they're looking for some advice.
I use a royalty-free website called Pixabay, and I just search things like koala bear in forest with no trees. Or like, if we're talking about pollution, I look up like polluted river. And then I screenshot it and I put it in.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we will keep going and then we'll save any questions left for at the end because we're already at 2:42. Sure. That's okay, Jen.
Go. Yep, I'm just trying to get back to the SeeSaw thing or the slideshow. Can you see anything?
SeeSaw thing.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Oh, can you see the slides?
No.
Isn't
I
that
see
weird?
Click to exit full screen.
Yeah, me too. Weird. Okay.
You're earning your paycheck today, Jen.
Well, I don't know. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Maybe?
It's okay. I'm going to answer this Rose's question while you're going. So someone's asking if when you archive your class at the end of the year, does it keep all your collections? Yes. So you still have your activities. Archiving classes are separate than your activity collections. So that's why Jen was saying you should organize them now. So next year, you're not recreating as well.
Okay. Let's see if we can. Oh.
And Michelle, I see your question about the inbox. Can you set it up so more than one teacher can view it? We talked about this a lot this morning on the S2 session, but we're pretty sure you can't. It's just your inbox is set for one person, and that's for I guess, privacy purposes.
Yeah, that one teacher.
Yep.
Can everybody see everything?
Yeah, looks good.
Sweet. Great. Okay. Shantima, are you talking about this?
Oh, this is these are the think abouts I just added to the end, just to reiterate things from Wednesday, Thursday, and today. So just remembering to copy and edit even if you want to copy and edit a community assignment, because what I found is I would go in and find an assignment just on the SeeSaw community and think, oh, I like these parts of the template, I don't like this, or I want to add my own media. So live with those 3 dots. You can edit even SeeSaw community assignments from anyone to suit your own students, right? It's rare I would just take a community assignment and assign all. I'm usually editing it to suit my own students and like even the words they're used to hearing from me. The second point, just using activities from your library as a template, what Jen went through, right? Using the same thing, copying and editing year to year even, and not recreating. So Jen and I had talked to our divisional colleagues, even at school, about using SeeSaw as a place to share assignments and activities so that we're not recreating, we're sharing those templates. And then the third point, just providing, Jen and I talked about providing assigned work and optional work as well, because we do have those kids that are like, more math now, please. I need more things, right? So I'm trying to wrap my brain around how do I send home some assignments that are like, this is optional, but these are the things you need to do, right? So those are kind of the take backs from what we've gone through this week. All right.
Awesome.
So we're just going to stop and field questions here.
Yes, that was great. So do we want to put up, so we're going to field some questions and then, do we want to put up our feedback while we're doing that so we can kind of have people access that if we need to? We can miss some of the slides about other archived sessions because I feel like we know that those are there now. We've already talked about them. I do want to say something though, because Nicole and I, we have to say a big thanks to you and Jen for this, because we were the hosts, but you guys were the content deliverers and it was awesome. So we definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, a huge thank you to you.
Yeah. So if you guys are still around and you'd like to ask some questions, feel free to write them in the chat and we'll do our best to help field them for you. Maybe give it a minute for everyone to write their goodbyes or whatever else they need to say.
Ooh, Jen, question. Did you say you were opening it up to the LKDSB library? Your collection.
Jen, you're muted.
My activities?
This is what
maybe eventually, yeah.
I think that was wishful thinking there.
They'll get there eventually, maybe.
Hi guys, it's Pam again. I am working through your SeeSaw account issues. I just realized I've tapped myself out with like, I don't want to play around with people moving from school to school just now. I'm going to wait until Monday and connect with SeeSaw to make sure I know how to do it exactly. But you're fine to continue on where you are. The school location doesn't really matter. But I just wanted to let you know that, you know, when it's time to step away from the keyboard because you don't want to press too many buttons, I think I'm there.
Step away from the keyboard.
Exactly.
But my goodness,
Back
Sam,
away.
Nicole, thank you for hosting. Jen and Shantima, we really appreciate you being willing to share with us. It's been tremendous, the learning and the way that we can share, and I think that's one of the benefits we have in our district. So it's really with a lot of gratefulness that we say thank you for everyone who's taken part, and thank you for Jen and Shantima as they continue to field texts and emails, as they support everyone as we make this significant transition to remote learning. It's kind of been like a cram session the last 3 days, I feel. Like we got a big exam coming up, but it's really heartwarming to see all the ways that that we're working to connect with students and help them through the process. So Nicole, do we want to put our cameras on again and everybody can wave? Are we at that point?
I think that's a great idea.
That's how we end our thing now. That's our closing, Marilyn.
Right.
All right, so stop sharing, whoever's sharing. And then give a wave. It's great to see everybody. Go to your gallery view.
There we go.
There we go.
Hi, everybody.
And this is the romper room moment.
Hello.
There's Kathy and Julie and
We're
Michelle
free.
and Marinka, and this is great.
And it's Friday at 2:49.
We promise no Zoom sessions
Hi,
tomorrow.
We'll be
Robin,
leaving
and
you.
look at everybody. It's great to see everybody.
I'm taking pictures, so you might see
Jessie?
these later somewhere.
Hey, Tara Griffin, I see you.
Just so you know, if you turn it on.
Indu's here, and it's great to see everybody.
Yeah, so good.
And Leanne and Jeffrey is somewhere in space. That's
Hi,
fantastic.
Dijon.
And Rebecca.
Yeah.
And Ashley's winning. She's outside. So thank
great.
you, everyone. We really appreciate your efforts and your commitment. And our students are in such good hands with such caring adults who are checking in with them and working forward with them. We really appreciate it.